So chapter 27 is all about participles, and participles are verbal what? Adjectives, that's right. Participles are verbal adjectives. So they describe or modify some noun, and if they're adverbial participles, they're describing when that noun performed the action, or maybe why. So there's different ways to translate an adverbial participle, which is what we're talking about in this chapter. When we get to chapter 29, we'll talk about the adjectival use of participles. So I could say something like, flying, the man dropped bombs over Germany. Okay, so flying is a participle. Flying, the man dropped bombs over Germany. It tells me something about his bomb dropping. What was he doing while he dropped bombs over Germany? He was flying. Okay, so that's an adverbial use of the participle. On the other hand, if I said something like, the flying man dropped bombs over Germany, then there flying is purely functioning as an adjective describing the man. Okay? It's not adverbial. It's not telling me when the verbal action happened, just what kind of man did it. He was a flying man, as opposed to, I don't know, a walking man. Okay? So here we're not dealing with those kinds of participles. We're dealing with adverbial ones. If the adverbial notion is temporal, we want to use the word while when we have a present stem participle. The present stem is used to indicate not real present time, but if it's adverbial, usually contemporaneous time with the main verb. Again, we'll see some examples of that here in our homework. Let's just look at the forms, though. We have some parsing questions, and let's walk through any of these that you have. Any specific ones? If not, I can work through a couple that of my own choosing. Number 3 is anabainon. Say that with me, anabainon. Just by looking at that word, can you tell me what the lexical form is? Yeah, anabino. Anabino. What does ana mean? I don't know if you've actually had that as a separate word, anabino. Okay, it can have the sense of again. It can also have the sense of up. Up. And bino means to go, so anabino means to go where? To go up. Kata means down. And katabino means to go down or to descend. All right. Now, let's take a look at the form here. I have anabainon. Now, up to this anabain part, this looks exactly like the present stem anabain, right? You see that match there? But the rest of this does not look like a present active indicative verb, does it? Think of your luo forms in the present active indicative. Luo, lues, lue, luomen, luete, luusi. None of those forms occur here, okay? Because even though this is a present active form, it's not an indicative. This is one of our participle forms, okay? After my present stem, I have an omicron, which is a connecting vowel. And then, what did you learn the participle morpheme is for active participles? Nu tau. Okay? So this really should be anabainant with the nu tau participle morpheme. And then the case endings are going to be attached afterwards. There's no case ending, which means there's a final tau here. And what do final taus do in Greek? They drop out. Remember, Greek throws in the tau, and then I'm left with the nu, all by itself. So, what case endings are attached to words that have a stem that ends with a consonant? Is this first, second, or third declension? It's third. Which third declension case ending is no ending at all? It's singular. That's right. What else? Mm-hmm. It's neuter, nominative. That's right. So nominative and accusative, singular, neuter. All right. So that's the parsing here. So on a bino, nominative or accusative, singular, neuter for a present active participle. If I didn't have the zero ending, the new tal would show up, and then I'd have the other case endings. Things like what? Well, maybe own for genitive plural, right? The omicron sigma for the genitive singular, third declension case ending. So one of the things we have to do, we've been dealing with the indicative mood and verbs for a good long while. We might have forgotten our third declension case endings. We need to go back and review those because most of our participles are going to be third declension. All right. Okay. So how can I translate this participle? If it's an active participle, then I'm going to use the ing form where I can. Going up. If it's temporal, and we will only know that from the context, it could be while going up. Okay? But whatever it is that's going up is neuter singular. That's the important thing to know from the grammar, but that doesn't necessarily affect your translation because you can't indicate neuter singular in English for a participle like this, at least not with that kind of translation. You could also maybe translate it as while it goes up, or is going up, or was going up, and then that could be a way of translating it too. Okay? Anyhow, that's number 3. Any other questions about this? Let's look at another one. Anybody have another one they want to ask about? Look at number 7. Since we were just looking at anabainan, we have kata bainanta. So my lexical form here is almost the same as the first one, kata bino. Okay? Kata bino. What does that mean? To go down. Good. My lexical form has the present stem kata bine. My form here has kata bine as well. That's the present stem. So I would say that this is present. I've got my connecting vowel followed by a new tal, which is indicating a participle of which variety, active or middle passive? It's active. By the way, if my participle's middle passive, what will I have instead of a new tal? What will I be seeing? Yep, meno or mene. Okay, so that's middle passive. Actives are usually going to have a new tal visible. These are indicating participle. All right, so that's new tal. It's participle. It's not a present active indicative. So we're outside the indicative mood here. So present active participle. Now, I have an alpha all by itself. So what might my possibilities be if new tal is what I'm adding my case ending to? I'm adding my case ending to something that ends with a consonant. I'm going to be using third declension case endings here. Which places in the third declension have an alpha as a case ending? What are my possibilities here? Okay, accusative plural for which gender? Neuter. Good. So accusative, plural, neuter. What else? Yes, remember, neuters are identical in the nominative and accusative. So that's one possibility. And then if a form is masculine, then it could be accusative singular masculine with the alpha. Okay? So there's actually several possibilities for the case gender number here. It's still a present active participle either way. All right? Now, good question. masculine or feminine. If the participle is feminine and it's a present active participle, let's go back. I mentioned that there are the 6 forms, the nominative and the genitive, masculine, feminine, neuter here. The way the end of the participle is going to look is on, ontos. Neuter is on, ontos. Feminine, usa, and uses. Okay? So in the feminine, it's actually going to follow the first declension. So this is going to follow a 3-1-3 pattern. The feminine form probably had a new tau originally, and then through some phonetic changes, that became obscured, and we got a sigma with a first declension alpha and eta stem. So you'll never see the new tau in the feminine form, and it'll never be third declension. It'll be first declension. So if it were accusative feminine singular, it would be katabain u san. Okay, katabai nusan. So I'd have an alpha and then the accusative feminine singular case ending. When we are learning participles, all feminine participles will be first declension no matter what. They will always be first declension. We need to review our noun rule. The first one, stems ending in alpha or eta are what declension? First. Stems ending with omicron are second declension, and then consonantal stems are third declension. Okay? So your feminine forms are always going to have an alpha or an eta stem. Okay. So we'll translate this as going down or while going down. All right. Any other parsing questions here? Let's look at number 1 real quickly. We have a ku on tone. A ku on tone. You see the lexical form in here? Akuo, right? What is akuo? I hear. Good. So I've got the aku present stem, connecting vowel, new tau, own. So we know this is what kind of a verb form? With the new tau? It's a participle. Is it active or middle passive? It's active. Good. And since it's using the present stem, I'm going to call it a present active participle. Omega nu is always what case and number? Genitive, plural. But what gender is it? Masculine or neuter. Why not feminine? It would be aku uson. I'd have the omicron upsilon sigma and then the own ending that obscures the alpha that would normally be there for the first declension. Aku uson would be the feminine genitive plural. Okay? The masculine and neuters, we'll see the new tau there before the own. And that would be hearing or while hearing. Look at zaytunti. Zaytunti. You see the new tau there? Okay, so that's telling me participle and active, right? What's the lexical form? Yeah, zaytao. Now, when I see zaytao and I see that -o ending, I know that's what kind of a verb? It's a contract verb. So, with contract verbs, the stem stops right at the end of the contract vowel. the present stem is not zait, but zeta. Zeta, okay? So if I'm going to form the present active participle, I'm going to take zeta, and what always comes after the stem? A connecting vowel. What's the connecting vowel here? It's omicron, because connecting vowels are omicron before what? Mu and nu, and nu tau is a mu or nu, right? So it's zeta, and then my nu tau. So what happens when epsilon and omicron meet together? They contract and they become omicron upsilon. Okay, so that's where this is coming from. So the present stem is slightly obscured, but it's understandable if you know your contractions. Zeta unti becomes zaitunti. Okay, so this is a present stem, active participle, nu tau, but the iota is the case ending, and what case ending is that? Dative, singular, and what gender? Masculine or neuter. The nu tau takes the iota for masculine or neuter third declension. If it were feminine, I wouldn't see the nu tau. I'd have usa with a, or use with a iota subscript. Okay? So this is just masculine or neuter. What's zetao mean? To seek, so seeking. Okay, or while seeking. Now look at pistuamenein here, number 4. Pistuamenein. You see the pistu? Does that match our present stem in our lexical form? Yep, pistuo, right? So we got the pistu, pistu. You see the omicron connecting vowel? But then here, instead of nu tau, I've got mene. What does that tell me? Is that a participle? Yeah, but is it active? Nope. It's got to be middle or passive, right? And it does have the present stem, though. So it's a present, middle, passive participle. Now look at the eta here, after the men part. Stems that end in alpha or eta are what declension? First. And what gender are they almost always? Feminine. And that is the case with our meno-mene endings, right? So it's feminine. So the case ending is not eta, it's nu. So in the first declension, what case ending is a final nu? It's accusative, singular, feminine. Okay? It's no ending for the feminine nominative singular, right? So now, if let's I'm going to put the M in parentheses here. Let's go with the passive translation, because that's the easiest to distinguish from the active. How would I translate this? If it's active, I want to use the ing form. If it's passive, what do I want to do? Which form do I want to use? Yeah, the form that ends with ed or just d or t, like to burn. What would the passive participle be? Burnt or burned. Burned or burnt, right? So this would be what? Not believing, because that would be active, but yeah, believed. And it could be being believed, but that's actually very unlikely. Okay, so believed. And whatever it is that that's describing is what gender? Feminine. Okay, so the woman believed by the apostles was Mary, for example. Okay. All right. Let's look at pros euchamenous. Pros euchamenous. What is the lexical form of this verb? This is one of your newer verbs in the last few chapters. Pros euchemai. What does that mean? To pray. Now, normally, in my lexical form, I've got these omega active endings. This has got a my ending. So what does that tell you about this verb in the present tense? So Mounce calls this a deponent verb. It's a middle-only form in the present. So even though it's got a my ending, you don't need to translate it with a passive nuance. It just means I pray. Okay? Now, over here, I have the pros uch present stem, followed by the omicron, which is what? Connecting vowel, followed by the meno, which is a participle morpheme that tells me it's what? Middle passive. And then I have the case ending, which is which case ending here? It's accusative, plural, and what gender? Only masculine, right? Because neuter accusative plurals don't end with us. What do they get? They get that good old alpha, okay? Now, we've determined that this is a middle passive participle, and it's using the present stem. It's identical to the stem of the lexical form. Okay, so it's a present middle passive participle. Now, how am I going to translate this? Yeah, just praying. Remember, the form has a middle ending, but it doesn't have a middle. It doesn't have a passive nuance. So don't try to give it a passive nuance here. Okay, you don't want to translate this as being prayed. It just means praying, and whatever it is that it's describing is masculine plural. Okay. So these are the sorts of things you need to be doing as you're analyzing these forms and trying to figure out what am I looking at here. Let's look at the warm-ups here. Okay, so read these out loud with me for alpha. Ready? Anabainantes eis Hierosaluma. Okay, now what does eis Hierosaluma mean? Yeah, to or into Jerusalem. Anabainantes. There's the anabain. There's my new tau. So you know this is what type of a verb form? It's a participle. Active or middle passive? Active. So present active participle. Which case ending is the epsilon sigma? It's nominative plural and what gender? Masculine. Why not neuter? Because the neuter nominative plural would be alpha here. Okay, so this is just masculine. So, how will we translate this? Going up into Jerusalem. Going up into Jerusalem. Good. Now, Adon is I what? I saw. This could also be who saw. Yes, they saw. First singular or third plural here are identical. I'm glad you didn't say Esau. So I saw, or they saw, autus. What case is that? Accusative. You see that upsilon sigma? Accusative plural and what gender? Masculine. Okay, remember logos? The forms are logos, lagu, lago, logon, lagoi, lagon, lagois, lagus, accusative plural. So, I or they saw them. And then we have hupagontas. Hupagontas. What's the lexical form of this verb? Hupago. And what does hupago mean? To depart or go away. So hupago. Now, I have the hupag of the lexical form, which means this is the present stem, but I have a new tau. So this is a present, what? Active or middle passive? Active and participle, right? Now, the case endings, what's left? What case gender number is that? It's third declension, we know that. Accusative plural and masculine. Okay? So I saw them, what? Departing. And the word departing, because it matches the accusative masculine plural autus, tells me that the ones who are doing the departing are not the I or they of the subject, but the them of the object. I saw them, and they were departing. So I saw them departing. I could also say, if I wanted to in Greek, I, departing, saw them. And who would you assume is doing the departing? Yeah, I would usually say departing, I saw them, right? That is to say, I saw them, they were hanging out there and they weren't moving, but I was departing. And as I departed, I saw them over there, okay? What would the form of hupago have to be as the participle? Well, it would have to be what case, gender, and number. If it were I saw, departing, I saw. It'd have to be nominative, singular, masculine, because I'm the seer, and I'm nominative, masculine, singular, if I'm the subject, right? If it were they, departing, they saw them, then what case, gender, number would departing have to be? Departing, they saw. The subject's third person plural, and what case would the implied subject be? Nominative. So the participle would have to match it. It'd be nominative, plural, and then whatever gender they are. Masculine, feminine, or mixed would be masculine, plural. Okay? All right. Let's see. Absolutely. All right. Look at Zeta. I have me horontes Allah pisteuantes. Now, what is the lexical form of horontes? Horao. Good. What kind of a verb is horao? Contract verb. That's right. That means that my present stem has a contract vowel at the end of that stem, hora. Okay? Now look over here at this form, horontes, horontes. That new towel tells me that this is an active participle. Good. Does it have the present stem? Hora. For the most part. That's right. What's happened here? Well, it was hora plus what connecting vowel do I usually get before the new tau? An omicron. And hora plus the omicron, becomes what? That's right, it contracts to omega. So that's where that omega comes from. So yes, the present stem is here doing some fishy things. Okay? And then the epsilon sigma is the same one we saw down here. Nominative, plural, masculine. So, what does may mean? Not. It's negating the participle. When we negate indicative forms, we usually are going to see oo, sometimes oo may. But if we're negating non-indicative forms, we're going to negate them with may. Okay? So this just means not. So not horontus, not what? Not seeing. Allah pistuantes, but believing. Same form as horontus, new tau, same case ending, just a different verb. So not seeing, but believing. Okay? Let's look at the translation exercises here, and let's go ahead and look at number 1 together for just a moment, and we'll review a few things here by way of looking at that example. All right, so if you take a look there at number 1, go ahead and let's read this out loud together. Okay, so number 1 translation. You ready? Tauta apen en synagoge didaskon en Capharnaum. All right, so right here we've got tauta apen. Tauta, it means what? It's a near demonstrative, so it means, yeah, what number is it with that alpha at the end? Yeah, that's neuter plural. In which cases? Nominative and accusative. So nominative, accusative, neuter, plural. So this is the direct object of apen. We know that's a third singular form, ape, leg, right? This is the second aorist of Lego. So he said tauta. He said what? these what? These things. This is neuter, so we can use the word things. He said these things. En synagoge? Yeah, in synagogue. All right. What case is this? It's dative. I've got that iota subscript for the dative singular, right? Okay, so he said these things. Didaskon and Capharnaum. What's didaskon? Teaching. Okay. The teacher is didaskalos. This is what type of verb form? That is a participle. Now look at the own ending. Remember your 6 basic forms for the present active participle. The endings are, oops, we don't want the omicron there. It's own and ontos for masculine, usa, uses. For feminine, what's the neuter? On with an omicron nu, and the genitive's the same. Ontos, okay? So what we're seeing is the own ending. That's nominative singular masculine. So who's doing the teaching here? That's right. Nominative singular masculine is whoever the he is. That's the implied subject of he said. Because if there were a pronoun, what gender case or what case and number would it be? The subject of apin? It would be nominative singular, right? Now, it could be he, she, or it, so it would be altas, alte, or alta. But since this is masculine, we know the subject must be masculine. So it's he said. All right, so he said, he said these things in the synagogue, teaching, and the teaching is the same as the speaker. Teaching where? In what? What's that called? Capernaum. Capernaum. You've seen Capernaum in your English Bible. Here's how you write it in Greek. Capharnaum. Capharnaum. So let's just think about didaskon here for a minute. So if this form were not didaskon, but let me change this up a bit just to drill some. And what if we had didaskanti, like that? What form of the participle would that be? Didaskanti. What would that final iota be telling you? That's dative singular. And it could be masculine or neuter. All right? How about didaskantes? We're basically reviewing third declension. Didaskantes. What's the S? Nominative plural. And that is true for which gender among the participles? Just masculine. Remember, neuter plurals are going to have alpha for their nominative and accusative. All right. How about this one? Didaskan tone. That's right. That's genitive plural. And with the new tau, which two genders could that be? Masculine or neuter. Remember, the feminine forms are always what declension? First declension, and you're always going to have a sigma alpha or sigma eta, and if it becomes own, the omega swallows up the alpha eta, right? You won't actually see it, but you'll see the sigma. So just to show you what that would look like, we'll go through a couple of feminine forms. What would it look like if it were feminine nominative singular? It would be didask, and then instead of the own, it would be usa, didaskusa, teaching as it relates to a woman. So if I had a genitive plural but feminine, it would be didaskus, what? Son for genitive plural. If it were genitive singular, it would be didaskus Yes, what? Seis. Excellent. That's right. Seis. Yeah, 6. 6 women teaching. No. Yeah, so didasku seis. And then, if I had this form, didasku, let's do didasku sas. What would that be? That'd be a participle, present active participle, feminine what? Accusative plural. That's right. Very good. Okay? So, and then here we'll do one more. How about didasku sai? Nominative plural and feminine. That's right. Okay? Now, in that situation, my subject would have to be upon, third plural, right? And they said these things, teaching in Capernaum, and it would be a group of women. Okay? All right. I think did we look at number 2 already in class? Was it 3 we looked at? I think we looked at 3 together, one of these. You know. Okay. I really don't know that I want to keep writing with the word mediocre hovering above my work. So I'm going to erase that. Oh, mediocre. There we go. My dad has given me a lot of things to laugh about over the years. But he tells the story on himself, so I can tell you and post it on the World Wide Web. All right. Now, let's read 2 together. Elthen ha Iesus eistain Galilean keruson ta evangelion tu theou. All right, very good. Now, here's elth. Elth is related to which lexical form? What's that? Erkamai. Erkamai. That's right. So remember, lego, apon, right? Leg, ape leg. Here, erk and elth go together. Erkamai, elthen. So this has got the epsilon and the movable nu. So which which person and number is that? That's third singular. And is this first or second aorist? It's a second aorist. First aorist have what? Sigma alpha, right? So this is a second aorist active indicative third singular. Who, erkamide, who came or went? Ha Jesus, right? That's nominative case, so that's my subject. So Jesus came, eistain Galileon, he came where? Into Galilee. And then I have keruson. Now you see the own with the omega. What case gender number is that? Okay, nominative, singular, masculine. Excellent. And who is doing the preaching here? Right, you find whatever matches the case gender number in the sentence, whether it's explicit or implied. Here it's explicitly nominative, singular, masculine. That's right. So Jesus came and Jesus was preaching. So Jesus came preaching. And my participles, remember, they could stand all by themselves, or the participle could also have its own objects and modifiers. Look at ta evangelion. Is that word related to the preaching, or is it related to the coming? It's, yes, to the preaching. And how is it related to the participle preaching? That's right. It's the direct object of preaching. And that's why this is what case? It's accusative. Neuter, singular, accusative. And to theou is a genitive. Why is it genitive? It's in a genitive relationship with evangelion. It's telling you whose gospel, right? Or the gospel. It could be the gospel about God as well. One of the things you'll learn about genitives is that there's a lot of different semantic relationships here. But we'll just translate this as the gospel of God, right? So this whole thing, keruson, ta evangelion tu theou, that is the participial phrase. Jesus came into Galilee. You could have stopped there and you'd have a good grammatical sentence. This adverbial participial phrase is telling you what he was doing or what was going on when he came to Galilee, right? He came preaching. the gospel. All right. So, we all good here? Yes.
So I translated it as went.
Yeah, K more went is okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
At least for that word.
Right. Right. Okay. So number 3 is, let's read that together. Paloi elusantai epito anamatimu legontes hati ego emi. Now, paloi means many. I understand that Dr. Hatchett likes to refer to the hoi polloi in his classes. Have y'all heard him refer to the hoi polloi? Who are the hoi polloi? Hoi polloi. That's the many, the masses, the crowds, the average people out there. All right? So, polloi, many. Anybody remember the lexical form of polloi? Palus. That's right. Palus. It's been a while since we've seen this. Palus. Some of you are saying, I swear I've never seen this before. So that's the masculine singular, the feminine singular, pala. I'm sorry, palay. It's got the eta. And then the neuter is palu. All right. So paloi elusantai. What tense is this? Oh, it's actually a primary tense. Ntai. So I've got my ntai personal ending. There's a connecting vowel and there's a sigma before the connecting vowel. What might that indicate? Future. Now, you might look at that epsilon and say, that looks like an augment, doesn't it? Guess what? It's not an augment. It can't be an augment because augments indicate that this is a past time action and it has to use secondary endings, but the ending is primary here. Okay? So the epsilon must be part of the stem. And in fact, it is. This is from what lexical form? It is. It's from erchomai. This is the future of erchomai. The real root that the future is using is aluth. Remember that? Aluth. It's aluth samai. And the sigma causes the theta to fall out. Okay? Dentals before sigmas fall out. Remember that? Dentals, teeth fall out. So that's it. So this is the future future middle indicative. Ntai, third plural. So in the future form is always middle. It's never active. You'll translate it like it's active. So many will erchomai. Many will what? Many will come in my name. Okay, legontes. Now there's my new tau. That tells you it's what kind of verb form? An active what? That's right. It's an active participle. It's using the present stem. So we'll call it a present active participle or a present stem active participle. And then the epsilon sigma tells you it's what case gender number. Nominative, plural, masculine. That's right. So who's doing the legoing here? The polloi. Yes, the polloi will always be found talking. So many will come speaking. All right? Or saying, in this case. Now, saying what? Hati. How would you translate hati here? Okay, you could translate hati as that. Well, how else can hati be translated? Okay, a colon. And then, what are you going to put here? Put quotation marks. In other words, you might not translate hati if it's introducing what kind of speech? Yeah, quotation speech. We call that direct speech. We're directly quoting. Okay? So many will come saying I am. Yeah, and what's missing is a he here, right? Saying I am he. I am the one we've been talking about. I am the Christ. Okay, so don't translate the haughty in your English. If you translate it as that, then who is the I in that kind of a sentence? The speaker. And in this case, the speaker is the narrator, the gospel writer. Many will come in my name saying that I, the narrator, am he. But that is not what the narrator is saying here. Okay. All right. So don't translate it as that. Open your quotation mark. All right, good. Now, do you all have any specific questions on the rest of these translation exercises? Okay, so number 5, let's translate that or read it together. Ready? Paulos de kai Barnabas dietribon en Antiochia didaskantes kai evangelizomenoi meta kai heteron palon ton logon to kuriou. All right, so who are we talking about here? Paul and Barnabas. So look at the day here. What kind of a conjunction is this? It's postpositive, which means it's got to go in second position in Greek, but in our translation, we're going to translate it first. So, and now, or but, Paul and Barnabas, okay? So this kai is joining two subject nouns. This day is a sentence level conjunction that joins this sentence with the preceding one. So Paul and Barnabas, and he tells you it means stayed, dietribon, in where? In Antioch. So here's how you spell Antioch in Greek. You usually think of a CH there. That CH is represented by the chi. So in Antioch, didaskantes. What type of a verb form is didaskantes? It's a participle. With the new tal, is it active or middle passive? It is active participle. Good. Which stem is being used? Didask. Is that the lexical form stem? Didasko? Yep. So this is using the present stem. So it's a present active participle, and the epsilon sigma tells me it's which case gender number? Nominative, plural, and masculine. So who is doing the didaskantes? Yeah. These two nominative subjects are, right? Good. So they stayed, they were teaching. And evangelizomenoi. So here's the oi with the men part. So is that a participle too? Is it an active or a middle passive form? That's a middle passive participle. Excellent. Evangelizomai is the lexical form. Is that using the same stem? Evangelizomai, evangelizomenoi. Same stem, right? Present stem. Now, in the present stem, it's a middle-only form. Evangelizomai, that's the lexical form. So when I put it in the participle, guess what? It's going to be middle-only as well. That's why it uses the meno-mene forms and not the on ontus forms. Okay? So, you see that iota after the omicron? That's nominative, plural, and masculine, just like this one was. Okay? But yeah, this is middle passive, so it's using the second declension forms. So, who's it describing? It's still Paul and Barnabas, right? So they stayed teaching and, yeah, preaching good news. Meta, kai, heteron, palon, ton logon to kuriou. So how do we translate this whole mass of words? Okay, the word of the Lord. What case is the word? It's accusative, right? So how do you think this might be related to the sentence? Okay, yeah, direct object of Yes, of the teaching and preaching, right? So teaching and preaching the word of the Lord. Okay, good. Kai, heteron, polon. Notice that these go together. They're both genitive, right? Genitive plural. So what's heteros mean? Other. Polon, from poloi, we saw that, many. So put them together, you have many others, or other minis. All right. Why do we have a genitive set of forms here? Okay, yes, meta is what kind of a word? What part of speech? Preposition, and they have to take nouns, objects of preposition in a particular case. What does meta plus the genitive mean? It means with. Meta plus the accusative is after. That's right. Okay? So, what this text is saying is that they did this teaching and preaching the word of the Lord with many others. And what do you think the Kai is doing here? Over here at the beginning, the Kai is joining Paulos, noun 1, and Barnabas, noun 2. They're two like things being conjoined together, A and B. All right, Jack and Jill, Paul and Barnabas. Is this Kai joining two like things? No. Didaskontes kai euangelizamonoi. These are two participles being joined by the Kai. Those are like things, teaching and preaching. But there's no such likeness of two things being joined by this Kai. So this Kai is not the conjunctive Kai of and, but more of an adverbial Kai that would be rendered as also or even. So what do you think here? Yeah, also. So teaching and preaching with many others also the word of the Lord. Okay? Does that make sense? All right.